Coleman Wong, a name no longer unfamiliar to Asian tennis fans. But in the summer of 2025, that name rewrote history at the US Open. In a Grand Slam dominated by giants from America, Europe, and Australia, a young player from Hong Kong unexpectedly became the focal point. But wait, this is more than just a match. This is the story of a journey spanning over a decade, starting from the small clay courts in Kowloon to the roaring stands at Flushing Meadows. From a solitary childhood practicing in the suffocating humidity, to the day he stepped onto the Arthur Ashe Stadium court before thousands of applauding spectators, Coleman proved, you don't need to come from a tennis powerhouse to achieve the extraordinary. So what really happened at the 2025 US Open? Why did the Western press call this the shockwave from the East? And what is hidden behind that peak performance? Coaching strategy, an iron discipline, or something else no one has ever known? In today's video, we will trace the footsteps of the 21-year-old, from his first serves to the historical moment that brought glory to Hong Kong. And if you love tennis, are passionate about stories of overcoming adversity, and want to see a young role model rewriting the rules of success, don't miss this journey. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel to not miss the next inspiring tennis stories. The legacy begins, and the future has no limits. When asked about his next goal after the US Open, Coleman didn't talk about rankings or championships. He simply said, I want to help Hong Kong tennis become a part of the Asian sports narrative. No longer an exception, but a trend. For many, that is a humble answer. But for those who understand Coleman, it is a powerful declaration. Starting in 2026, Coleman and his team will launch a scholarship program for young tennis players who lack the economic means. The project, named Wong Way Forward, a play on his surname, has already helped 12 teenagers gain the opportunity to train professionally abroad. Beyond just playing well, Coleman wants the next generation to play the right way, with passion, ethics, and clear direction. Experts predict Coleman will soon enter the world's top 20 if he maintains his form. But he is in no hurry. In a post-US Open livestream, he said, I'm not competing with others. I'm just chasing a better version of myself. And it is that very composure that makes fans believe in a long-term journey, not one based on a single tournament. The current Coleman Wong is no longer a young player who needs to prove his worth. He is a symbol of perseverance, someone who proves that coming from a small place doesn't mean you have to think small. And if you are brave enough to persevere, the only boundary is the one you set for yourself. The 2025 US Open etched Coleman Wong into history, but for him, that was only the starting point. What people will remember about Coleman is not just the decisive ace or the central court lights, but the indomitable spirit, the heartbeat of Hong Kong, and the eyes that are always looking toward the next generation. When an athlete plays not only for victory, but also to pave the way for others, he is no longer an individual. He becomes an icon. And if you believe that sports is more than just numbers, but stories that inspire and journeys that turn the impossible into reality, then this is only the first chapter of Coleman Wong. Will he create the next miracle at the upcoming Australian Open? And will the path he opens lead to a new generation of champions for Asia? Don't miss the latest updates and untold stories from behind the scenes. Subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel now, where we tell sports stories with heart and emotion. You won't just watch, you will feel. The early days, when it all started with an old racket. Coleman Wong was not born into a traditional sports family. He didn't have private tennis courts or expensive training academies in his early years. Instead, his journey began with an old racket, a gift from a family friend, and a public tennis court in the heart of Hong Kong. While his friends were busy with phones, games, and schoolwork, Coleman spent every afternoon on the court with a local coach, who was the first to recognize in him a strange, unteachable competitive instinct. At 12, he competed in his first international junior tournament. He lost quickly, but instead of collapsing, he told his father, I need to go back. I have to win that place. And from then on, every summer break was a training journey. Every weekend was a tournament. He was constantly defeated, but from that, he accumulated resilience, little by little. Coleman is not a born prodigy, but a clear testament to the power of unwavering perseverance. Moving to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain was a major turning point. Away from home and friends, it was also the place where he faced top opponents and was forced to mature. An Asian player, small in stature, competing in a harsh European environment. But it was in that pressure that Coleman's athletic personality was forged. He didn't play for fame. He played to prove. Someone from Hong Kong can go all the way to the end of a Grand Slam court. The US Open storm, when all the spotlight poured in. Before the 2025 US Open, Coleman Wong was not on the list of potential seeds. Experts focused on familiar names like Alcaraz, Sinner, Rune. But then, as each round passed, people had to check the list again and ask, who is Wong? In the first round, he overcame a veteran French player in a match lasting nearly 4 hours, with sharp forehands and a tricky cross-court serving strategy that baffled his opponent. In the second round, he defeated the number 14 seed in 3 straight sets. And at that moment, news from Flushing Meadows began to spread across Asia like an electric current. Hong Kong had a player in the third round of a Grand Slam. And then the unthinkable happened. Coleman entered the second week of the US Open, something no Hong Kong male player had ever done in singles. Reporters started scrambling to interview him after every match. But Coleman maintained an unnerving humility. In one press conference, when asked about his secret to success, he just smiled and said, "I don't think I have a secret. I just play one point at a time, just like I always have." On the court, he seemed to transform into a more perfect version of himself. His ability to read the game quickly, his cat-like movement, and his sharp match mentality, all combined to create an inexplicable phenomenon. And it was then that the entire tennis world began to understand. This was not a temporary flash. This was someone making history. After the glory, the quiet moment that defined his class. Right after concluding his US Open journey with a quarterfinal ticket, the highest achievement for a Hong Kong athlete at a Grand Slam, Coleman Wong didn't party or appear on numerous television shows. Instead, he returned home, quietly sharing on social media, "Thank you for all the support. This is only the beginning. No fanfare. No chasing the spotlight. That is simply Coleman." Fans captured a moment of him standing on Shek O Beach one morning after returning home, with his worn-out shoes and headphones on. For him, tennis is not glamour, but a personal journey that must be respected. That is what makes people appreciate him more, a young athlete who knows who he is and where he is going. The road ahead is still long. He still has to face bigger, more experienced names. But now, with his performance at the 2025 US Open, Coleman possesses something that not everyone has: the trust of millions of people and the recognition of experts. And with that mindset, we can be sure of one thing: the quarterfinals are just the starting point for a new legend in Asian tennis. The pressure of expectation, when an individual carries a nation on his shoulders. After his feat at the 2025 US Open, Coleman Wong's name flooded Asian newspapers. In Hong Kong, the media called him the pride of the new sporting generation. People put up congratulatory banners at public tennis courts. Schools held special screenings of the quarterfinal match as an extraordinary lesson on resilience. But accompanying the admiration is a subtle pressure that not everyone sees. How do you maintain the peak? That is the question Coleman received the most after the tournament. But only he and his coaching team understand that every success is a double-edged sword. It opens the door to opportunity, but also brings expectations, comparisons, and scrutiny. His ordinary training days become less ordinary. Every subsequent loss is weighed and analyzed as if every emotion and every error must be explained. Coleman does not respond by withdrawing or becoming defensive. Instead, he chooses to do the hardest thing: continue to show up, continue to compete, and continue to be patient with himself. In a quiet interview at a training court in Spain, he said, "I don't need to be the greatest Hong Kong player of all time. I just need to be Coleman Wong, a better version every day." That quote went viral. It was printed on the covers of physical education textbooks and hung in youth training academies. Because more than victory, Coleman brought a role model. A young person who faces expectations with integrity, who is quiet but persistent, something the world of sports always needs. Friendship, love, and the off-court rumors. Besides his talent, Coleman Wong has also received significant public attention for his off-court stories, especially his relationship with female player Alex Ila, the rising star of Philippine tennis. Both trained together at the Rafa Nadal Academy, grew up in the same professional circuit, and overcame injuries, defeats, and the scrutiny of the media together. During Alex's 20th birthday in Paris, the photo shared by Coleman on Instagram exploded across social media. A deluge of articles and comments speculated about a secret relationship between the two young Asian players. But behind the smiles in the photo lies a deep empathy that only those who live under the pressure of the court can truly understand. In a brief interview after the US Open, Coleman was asked directly about Alex. He just smiled and said, "I think everyone needs someone to remind you how far you've come, even when you've just lost a match." That answer didn't confirm or deny anything, but it was enough to let people understand. The relationship between them goes beyond the definition of friends or colleagues. Alex once shared on a sports podcast, "Coleman is a man of few words, but every word is worth hearing. He never offers superficial comfort. If you need someone to ask, 'Are you really okay?' that's Coleman." In a world where everything is easily hyped, the unnamed relationship between the two has become a quietly enduring role model. And regardless of the outcome, what they share, support, understanding, is the reason both continue to advance on and off the court. Behind the lights, the true person behind the icon. When he's not competing, not shooting advertisements, not speaking at award ceremonies, Coleman Wong returns to being a very ordinary 20-year-old man. He loves books, especially detective novels. He is addicted to bubble tea and can spend half an hour debating his favorite topping. He doesn't play the piano well, but he still patiently practices his left hand every evening as a mental exercise. That is the part of his life that fans rarely see, the part that isn't broadcast on television. Close friends describe him as quiet but deep. A person who can be silent for an entire party, then unexpectedly tell a story that makes everyone laugh. His coach once said, "Coleman is not the kind of person who makes you wow from the first second, but he will be the one you remember forever." It is that very simplicity that makes him special in the increasingly glamorous world of sports. No luxurious mansion, no flashy cars for social media, no shocking statements. Coleman chooses a lifestyle that suits him. His income from competition and endorsements is reinvested by him and his family back into youth training programs in Hong Kong. "I don't want to be the only Hong Kong player to reach the second week of a Grand Slam," he once shared with a local journalist. Perhaps it is because of this choice to live authentically, true, enduring, and profound that Coleman is so loved. Because in a world revolving around glamour, he reminds us that class is not only found in the rankings, but in character, when the court lights are off. The 2025 US Open, a historical moment not for the hesitant. Before stepping onto the Arthur Ashe court for the fourth round of the 2025 US Open, Coleman Wong had a sleepless night. Not because of stress, but because he spent hours rewatching his faulty serves from the third round, the only thing he was dissatisfied with, even though he had won the match. For many, reaching the second week of a Grand Slam is a dream. For Coleman, it was only the starting point. That match was not broadcast live in Hong Kong due to the time difference, but thousands of people gathered at Victoria Park late at night, watching the live stream, cheering every time Coleman saved a breakpoint. He was facing a world top 10 player who had reached the semifinals of major tournaments 3 times. An ESPN commentator remarked, "The boy from Asia doesn't just play well, he plays like he's never known fear." Coleman lost the first set, but in the second set, he adjusted every step, every topspin, as if all the practice over the past 10 years had been preparing for this moment. When he won the third set, the crowd nearly erupted. In the deciding set, with an ace on match point, Coleman knelt, clenching his fist. It wasn't a dramatic gesture. It was an exhalation of sweat, of expectations, of the entire journey. the 2025 US Open was not just a competitive milestone. It was the first time Hong Kong had a representative in the Grand Slam quarterfinals. The first time the name Coleman Wong appeared in the same sentence as Djokovic, Alcaraz, Medvedev. But for him, the most valuable thing was a letter from an 8-year-old boy sent to the academy. "Uncle Coleman, I didn't like tennis much, but after watching you play, I asked my mom to buy me a racket." The inner journey, when success is a lesson about the self. Post-2025 US Open, with media lights shining everywhere, the first thing Coleman did wasn't to go on a talk show or accept an advertisement. He returned to Hong Kong, quietly visiting the Rafa Nadal Academy, where he once trained. On the brick wall, there was an old photo pasted of the 13-year-old boy, sweaty hair, eyes looking up at the practice court. Looking back now, he realized those eyes were full of fear. Coleman was never a prodigy. He was eliminated early from the qualifying rounds of European junior tournaments. One year, he lost 6 straight matches, even considering quitting tennis. But his parents didn't pressure him. They just said, "If you still feel like you want to play one more match, then keep going." And he kept going, not for the victory, but because he didn't want to stop with a loss. That is what, by age 20, he truly understood. Success doesn't come from the peak, but from not giving up halfway. In an internal sharing session with young talents in Hong Kong, Coleman once said, "There are days when you feel the whole world is moving faster than you. But if you keep taking a step, even a small one, you are still moving forward." Amidst a sports world where fame arrives too soon and vanishes too quickly, Coleman's ability to maintain his solid self is his most valuable asset. He chooses to live unhurriedly, chooses to believe in slow but steady progress, and chooses to hold on to gratitude every time he is allowed to step onto the court. That is not just a lesson for young people, but a reminder for adults too. Sometimes, what we need most is not victory, but the reason to continue.